Welcome to EPG Pathashala. I am Professor K. Srinivas from Pondicherry University. I teach philosophy at that university. I am the course coordinator for Indian religion and philosophy in the subject Indian culture. In the present module on Dharmashastras and the human conduct, we are going to learn something about codes of conduct as enforced by the ancient Indian society. And in that, mainly we would like to concentrate on what are Dharmashastras, the significance of Dharmashastras for the benefit of individual and society. Dharmashastras are the books concerning the code of human conduct in society. The post-Vedic literature is of immense importance to social life of individuals. They are practical expansions of the philosophy of action, that is about the dharmas. Dharmas are understood as codes of human conduct. In this lesson, let us focus on Apastamba Dharma Sutra, Gautama Dharma Sutra, and the laws of Manu. Well, these Dharma Sutras are very important because for a harmonious life in society, some kind of code of conduct must be imposed on the individuals living in the society, for otherwise there would not be proper social progress and harmony in the society. Now coming to Apastamba Dharma Sutra. It is a part of Kalpa Sutra. According to this sutra, the student must be soft, subdued, controlled in senses, and desist from doing anything wrong. He must be firm in his fortitude and not lazy, not irascible, not jealous. The student should not indulge in self-praise and must not run down others. Well, the significance of this statement is that what kind of code of conduct should be imposed on the students when they are going to learn something from their teachers. This particular Dharma Sutra tries to show the kind of code of conduct imposed on the students for their own benefit so that they can learn more, and also tries to suggest the student what kind of duty or code of conduct must be practiced by the student as a learner. One should not perform one's ordained worldly duties with an end in view. Such duties do not bear any fruit in the end. According to this Dharma Sutra, we need to perform our duties for the sake of duties, not with an eye to have some kind of reward or award or a kind of an end from doing these duties. One should not react to the word of hypocrite, the crook, the heretic, and the juvenile, for they are not worthy of reaction. For example, the words of hypocrite, the words of crooks, the words of heretics, and the words of juveniles, they are not meaningful, for they do not have any kind of sense in our day-to-day life. Therefore, this particular sutra tells us not to pay any heed to the words of such individuals. One should conform to the conduct in all realms, because conduct is something very, very important for any individual and for every individual. The conduct enjoys social sanction of the noble ones, well-disciplined persons, elders, self-possessed, and those who are free from avarice and vanity. This is the way that one gains the advantage of both the worlds. Further, this Dharma Sutra indicates that there are evils that scorch the bodily ailments. They are anger, elation, avarice, delusion, vanity, enmity, speaking untruth, overreacting, traducing others, jealousy, ill feeling, passion, lack of self-possession, and of mental concentration. These are very, very important aspects. According to this particular sutra, one should refrain from in order to be an individual with absolute moral conduct. These evils have to be destroyed through the practice of yoga. This sutra also suggests that there is a kind of yoga with the help of which an individual would be able to overcome these unwanted evils. Then, the approved form of conduct for all men according to this sutra are as follows: pleasantness, truth speaking, moderation in eating, refraining from talking ill about others, sharing one's good things with others, sacrifice, straightforwardness, absence of cruelty, contentment, friendliness with all beings, softness, quietude, and self-control. These are the virtues which one has to cultivate in order to be a morally sound individual. By observing these, one becomes universally benevolent. In addition to this, it is also suggested that what should be eaten by the householders and what should be offered to gods and other living beings. These offerings not only take one to heaven, but also good for nourishment. After these offerings, one has to feed those to whom priority is given. Everything is listed in the sutra. For example, all sorts of food are not encouraged. We need to put some kind of restriction on the kind of food that we are going to take. And also we should be given priority to the individuals whom we should feed first. For example, the guests are to be fed along with young, aged, invalid, and pregnant women. And the priority goes to them. Then the couple of the house should not turn away anyone who comes at the time of eating time and asks for food. If food is not available, they must be given a place for rest, water, for refreshing oneself, a reed mat for relaxing. They must be welcomed with pleasant words. Well, according to this sutra, hospitality is something which is imposed on the grihastha or the householder. If you have sufficient food, you offer it. If you do not have food, at least welcome the guest into your house. Make the guest comfortable with whatever you are able to provide with the guest. This is what this particular sutra indicates. Now in this picture you can see how Lord Krishna receives his bosom friend Kuchela when they later came to see him. It is clearly mentioned in the Dharma Shastras that there are 4 stations of life. For example, when we talk about the student stage, then you also talk about householder stage, then there is forest dweller stage, and finally there is a stage of mendicant. Each stage represents what kind of duty is assigned to an individual while he is a student, while he is a householder, while he is a forest dweller, and finally when he becomes the mendicant. Then one who renounces everything should go about without any sacrificial rite in fire, without a house, without any kind of enjoyment, without seeking anybody's shelter. He opens his mouth only to recite mantras like Om. He accepts only that much from the village so as to keep his soul and body together. He should not indulge in any act for this worldly or otherworldly prospect. This is what we technically call the renunciation. Then way of doing puja or worship is seen in this picture. How an individual is supposed to perform puja to the gods and goddesses. Now coming to Gautama Dharma Sutra. It's also one of the most important codes of conduct. And in this particular sutra, besides 40 sacraments, we find 8 qualities of the soul. Some of the qualities overlap with the qualities highlighted in the Apastambha. Sometimes it happens because the Dharma Shastras, although they are independent of each other, some overlappings are found in these codes of conduct. For example, forbearance, absence of jealousy, purity, moderation, auspiciousness, dignified conduct of oneself, and freedom from avarice. They are also found in the earlier sutra. One who possessed all these sacraments but do not possess these required 8 personal qualities would not attain the world of Brahma. More than the sacraments, the personal qualities are important for attaining the identity with Brahma. This is what we say normally. You may have everything, but the Dharma Sutras prescribed certain codes of conduct on the part of the individual to maintain. If you do not maintain them, then you would never reach the abode of Brahma. The places for meditation are, the sutra also indicates, the right places where you can really meditate with full concentration are the hills, because you have absolute calmness there. All river beds, holy lakes, waters, and ashramas of holy sages, cow pens and temples. These places are very ideal for the purpose of meditation because you have a sense of calmness in these places. Then, of course, continence, truth speaking, ablutions in the morning, noon, and evening, remaining in wet clothes, lying on bare ground, and fasting or penances. They are also prescribed by this particular Dharma Sutra. Now, we come to Kriyapada of Gautama Dharma Sutra. This is the practical aspect of Dharma Sutra, which tries to advise the individuals to follow certain codes of conduct. And they are highly practical in nature according to this particular Dharma Sutra. For example, the accepted conduct of men in society is as follows. One has to get up in the last quartet of the night with a composed mind by casting of sleep. The vital and falling breaths have to be controlled by invoking the sun god in one's heart. That means one has to rise very early in the morning. One should walk towards any water resource with one's shoes on without treading on bones, excreta, urine, ash, and worms. This is the reason why we need to wear footwear. And without footwear, there is a possibility that we may trample upon the unwanted elements such as bones, excreta, urine, ash, and worms. The purpose is when one gets into the waters of any source, the source should not get polluted when one takes bath. That's the reason one has to wear footwear. Before entering into the waters, one should leave all his belongings in a clean place. Because after taking the bath, we come back to that place and cleanse our body and wear those clothes. One should not answer the calls of nature in the precincts of sages. Similarly, in the gardens, in the temples, on ant hills, in water, land and cultivated crops, lake, hill, stone, holes, these are the places where we are not supposed to go for call of nature. And this is absolutely necessary on the part of the individual to practice this for the interest of the individual and also in the interest of the places which are mentioned by the sutra. In front of open sky, quarters, others excreta, the moon, fire, the sun, cows, Brahmans, women, nor in shades of trees, used for rest by travelers, nor in plowed fields, road or water. Because they are all very precious things and we have no right to make them unclean and unhygienic. For example, in this picture we are seeing the way of a prayer, how the morning ablutions are. After completing the morning ablutions, an individual takes bath. Even while taking bath, you see certain prayers are performed by the individuals while in the waters. Further, this sutra tells us one must sit facing east without any distraction and clean one's teeth with a green twig cut properly with skin and nodes, astringent, bitter, or sharp in taste from a thorn tree or of a fragrant smell. Normally, we know that we use the twigs of neem tree for this purpose. The twigs of the neem tree have all those properties prescribed by this sutra. After cleaning one's teeth, the twig used must be thrown away with the recital of the prayer. O tree, grant us longevity, strength, fame, luster, progeny, cattle, and wealth, sacred love, knowledge, and intellect. The sharp or bitter taste of the twig kills the germs in the mouth, apart from cleaning the teeth. So this is the reason why the neem twig is suggested for that purpose. Now it is also suggested that one must take bath before the actual sunrise in the sea. Confluence of sea and river, lake, tank, and river in order to destroy the heinous sins committed by one. From the midst of water, one must pray gods facing east to get their blessings, pray sages facing north, and the forefathers facing south. Perhaps this sutra tries to tell us each dik or direction has its own significance, whether it is east, west, south, or north. And these four directions have their own significance when one prays by facing towards that particular direction. For example, after the bath, one must twist one's wet cloth to discharge water out of it with the words, "Those born in our line and clan, who passed away without sons, let them take this water offered by me by the pressing of wet cloth." This is the significance of doing this particular act. After outer cleaning, the most important thing is inner cleaning or mental bath. Such inner cleaning is possible only when one contemplates on the all-pervasive Lord of the form of undiminished bliss and knowledge. The mental bath is the most important one. There is another kind of bath called mantra bath, apart from the mental bath. This is prescribed when one is ill or undergoing medical treatment or unable to go out due to local commotion for political reasons, fear of thieves, etc. Because at times we would not be able to get out of the house for some reason. Therefore, this mantra bath is prescribed by this sutra to compensate the kind of bath that one is supposed to take. Further, it is added that the bath loses its sanctity if one's talk is unrestrained and the fire in which the oblations are offered is deprived of prosperity. Due to some exigencies of physical unfitness, unsuitability of time and place, all kinds of bath have equal sanctity. So therefore, there is no discrimination made between the mental bath and the mantra bath or even the physical bath, because they have all equal sanctity according to this sutra. Therefore, one has to be silent at the time of bathing, worshipping and eating, because with absolute concentration one has to perform his duty. After washing one's feet and palms, one should sit facing the east with a steady mind to worship Sandhya. One has to practice the control of breath, and without Sandhya worship, one is unfit for performing all other rites, for the person is impure. That means, in order to be pure, the prerequisite is that one must worship Sandhya. After control of breath and sprinkling of water, one should stand facing the sun and take water in both palms and sanctify it with Gayatri Mantra. So this is where we feel the significance of Gayatri Mantra. 10 repetitions of Gayatri destroy the sins of the moment. The sutra, according to this sutra. 100 the sins of the day and night, and 1,000 those of an year. So that means the more you chant the Gayatri Mantra, the better benefits you get it out. After this, one has to go home and enter the room where the divine images are kept. Normally we call it puja room. One has to worship the god or goddess of one's choice, because there is absolute permissibility in Hinduism to worship the god or goddess of one's own choice. Then one must not forget to worship the teachers, the elders, and those who are great Vedic scholars. Until noon, one should continue with the Vedic study and then go for midday worship of the sun. Only after the midday worship of the sun, one has to eat. The act of eating must be accompanied by the propitiation of fire with oblations. One should avoid sex during daytime. One must concentrate on the study of one's philosophy until the evening worship of Sandhya. Now coming to Manusmriti, another important code of conduct which is practiced by the majority of the Hindus, shows that the laws of Manu are supposed to be most sacred and recognized as the foremost code of conduct, dharma. Manu is known as man's first progenitor and is praised in the Vedas that whatever is prescribed by Manu is considered medicine. To that extent, Manusmriti is followed by the orthodox Hindus. The single syllable Om is the supreme Brahman. To control one's breath is the supreme penance. There is nothing higher than the Gayatri Mantra. It is always advised to speak truth rather than keeping silent. Mere utterance of a mantra, a Brahman attains spiritual success to one. A Brahman is friend to all. Brahman possesses superior knowledge. Kshatriyas are known for their valor. Vaishyas are known for their grain and money. And Sudras by their ability to perform all the menial jobs. So therefore there is some kind of social division among the individuals living in the society, and this division of labor is absolutely necessary in the interest of social progress and social harmony. The teaching of good to people must be done not violently. One who desires dharma must maintain sweet and fine talk. Even when one is harassed, one should not lose temper and use harsh words against the other. The harsh words are against heaven. A Brahmin should keep away from honors and maintain his cool when humiliated and accept it as nectar. That means he should not become overwhelmed by the honors, and he should not become completely disillusioned by the hatred. Therefore, he has to keep his cool throughout. Now, fathers, brothers, husbands, brothers-in-law should honor the brides and deck them if they desire welfare. Where the women are honored, there are gods and are delighted. Where the women are dishonored, there every act becomes fruitless. This sutra clearly indicates that Women must be respected. They should be given proper place in the society or in the family if you want the blessings of the gods, if you want something good to happen to you. When a Shraddha is performed for forefathers, one should ask them to provide conducive atmosphere for the Vedic studies. And the increase in the family, the faith should not go away from our house, and let us have much to give others. One should not speak untruth just because it is pleasant. This is the eternal dharma. Sometimes the untruth appears to be more pleasant than the truth because sometimes truth is bitter. Just because untruth is pleasant, we should not encourage untruth. Without killing and harming the living beings, one cannot eat flesh. By killing living beings, one should not attain heaven. Therefore, one should avoid eating flesh or meat. The wise get purified by forbearance. The wrongdoers must silently repeat mantras. The limbs are cleansed by the water, the mind by truthfulness, the soul by learning and penance, and intellect through knowledge. Here we can see the role of women in the family. Now coming to the housewife, we must always be cheerful and must be good in domestic work. She must keep herself clean in her domestic wares and restrained in expenses. The woman of the house need not do any fasting, vow, and perform any kind of sacrifice. She has to take care of her husband, by that she attains heavens. Once the husband dies, the chaste wife reaches heavens even if she is childless. So this is the message given by this sutra. She must have perfect control over mind, word, and body. According to Manu, non-violence, truth-speaking, non-stealing, purity, sense control are foremost parts of dharma. And all four varnas have to practice them. There are many more practices that are prohibited. They are listed as follows. Not doing one's own duties. That's what we call dereliction of one's own duties. Performing condemned acts means the prohibited acts. Addition to objects of senses, killing a Brahmin. Drinking wine, theft or stealing, having a crush on elder's wife, or associating with those who commit above-mentioned crimes. They are the sins. Now you have another important smriti, text, which is also equally important, that is Yajnavalkya Smriti. In this text, one comes across the difference between fate and effort. Fate is only a consolidated force of the personal exertion in the previous birth. According to Yajnavalkya, both fate and effort are equally important in achieving anything. One of the most important things that we come across in the Yajnavalkya Smriti is it is not wrong if a Brahmin performs the duties of a Kshatriya or a Vaishya when there is a need. However, a Brahmin is prohibited from selling fruits, soma, silk, medicinal creepers, curd, milk, ghee, water, sesame seeds, cooked rice, heavy metals, acids and alkalis, honey, lac, requisites of homa, cloth, stone, utensils, flowers, vegetables, clay, leather shoes, deer skin, silk, salt, meat, oil cakes, roots and perfumes. Perhaps this particular Smriti tries to advocate the view that Brahmins are forbidden to do such kind of acts. But some exemption is made with regard to some items. They can be sold along with sesame seeds and grain for the purpose of a sacrifice, not otherwise. Even in dire necessity, a Brahmin should not sell them. Instead, he is advised to take up cultivation. Even horses should not be sold. Then we have another important Smriti that is called Parashara Smriti. According to Smriti, one must not get influenced by anger at any point of time. Anger leads to the spirits of darkness. What is achieved by man with great difficulty gets ruined by anger. There is no substitute for mercy. It is the only might of the righteous. Now coming to the summary. As we have seen, the codes of conduct are prescribed for the individuals, not only for their own betterment, for the betterment of society in general. And there should be some kind of division of labor among the individuals based on their innate capabilities. The capabilities of individuals are not alike. Some are endowed with certain capabilities. Some are not endowed with certain capabilities. Based on these capabilities, the duties are prescribed to the individuals. And unless each one discharges his duty in accordance with his capability, there is no social progress. Similarly, in order to achieve social harmony, they prescribed these codes of conduct. That means the society must have two important aspects: the progress and harmony. In the absence of progress, harmony is of no use. In the absence of harmony, progress is of no use. In that sense, progress and harmony are complementary to each other. And in order to have this social progress and harmony, there is every need to practice the codes of conduct in the interest of every individual. If you need to have more knowledge about the Dharma Shastras and their social significance, kindly go through the e-text for more details. Thank you.